Good morning. In the previous class, we were discussing about a formal framework for analysis of algorithm. So the formal framework said that we need to concentrate on the size of the problem. Then second thing which we were talking about is for measuring the running time. The third one is we concentrate on orders of growth of number of times the basic operation is executed. And then we also said that the time taken by any algorithm will not only depend upon the size of the instance, but also it depends upon the nature or the kind of input or specifics of input which we are giving. For all algorithms, these specifics may not be there. So you need to, when there is a specific type of input, we should do best case, worst case and average case efficiencies. You need to look at the problem for evaluating the algorithm for best, worst and the average case efficiencies. Only some problems depends on the efficiency for some of the problems depends on the specifics of the input, some may not. So you need to see which one has specifics, which one depends on the specifics of the input and which does not. So depending upon that, you are going to decide and do best, worst and average case efficiencies. The question by one of them yesterday was, why do we consider while doing the average cases analysis, why do we consider both the probabilities, the probability of successful search and the unsuccessful search? So in the case of average case, we need to look at all kinds of input for which our algorithm is going to take the average time, right? So in that, all scenarios we need to consider, all kind of inputs we need to consider. That's why we are, so the probability of the total probability of searching and unsuccessful search and unsuccessful search, becomes equal to 1. So we will consider all the cases. That's why we are considering the unsuccessful search also as a one kind of instance to your linear search problem. So we are considering both successful search and unsuccessful search, and in totality we are trying to see an average case efficiency. Okay, so today, screen, that's okay. Screen I'll share. So I'll share the screen. This is just a recap I am doing. I'll just in a couple of minutes I'll share the screen. So that's now, so later in the previous class we started discussing about the asymptotic notations and basic efficiency classes. Now, as we have seen that we were getting some equations like this, right? So if you are able to see, we used to get something like this. For some algorithm, when you do the analysis, you may get like this, 10n square Give me a minute. There's some connection issue with the Ravi. ಬೇರೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದೆಲ್ಲ ಇತ್ತು. One. Okay. Okay. So we were talking about in the previous class, we were talking about, are you able to see the slide? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Are you able to hear me? Can you answer? Are you able to see the slides?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Anush? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Balendra?
We can see. Sir, we can see the slides.
Hello?
Sir, we can hear you,
Hello?
sir.
Okay, so you're able to see the slide. So just speak, right? Otherwise, I have to check the conversation. Can anyone speak? I
Sir,
wanted
we
to check
spoke,
whether
sir.
I could hear you or not.
Sir,
Anirudh?
we was. Yes, sir. Sir, we spoke, sir.
Hello?
Sir, I think there's a problem with your internet.
Okay. Good. So, in the previous class, we were talking about this. As we all know, efficiency analysis framework concentrate on the order of growth of the algorithm's basic operation count as the principal indicator of the algorithm efficiency. So we will have two functions, Tn and Gn. I have discussed this in the previous class, which are non-negative functions defined on some set of natural numbers. Now these functions we require to compare and rank such orders of growth, right? So to compare and rank the order of growth, if you have two algorithms with different efficiency classes, you need to compare them, because we would have written a algorithm for solving the same problem using different design techniques. So we need to check which one is efficient. So we need to compare, right? So when we get an equation by counting the all the operations which in the algorithm, the amount of time taken by all the instructions in an algorithm, we get some equation, and we require some basic efficiency classes to which we can compare those things. So informally, we require two functions, Tn and Gn, which are said to be a non-negative function, which is defined on set of natural numbers. So what is Tn, which we are interested here is to, Tn will be the algorithm's running time. How do we indicate this? We indicate the algorithm's running time by the number of times the basic operation is being executed. So what is Gn? Gn will be a simple function to compare the count with. Once we get, after finding the number of times the basic operation is executed in an algorithm, which contributes to most of the running time, that will be represented as Tn. And Gn is set of functions, or Gn is a simple function which we use to compare the Tn with, right? So when we said then yesterday I have shown you, so this was the thing, right? So here, when I say O of Gn, so this is an informal introduction wherein we'll try and understand, then we will go for formal definition. So informal introduction is O of G of n is set of all function, is set of all functions with smaller order of growth as G of n. So I said some example. We can say n belongs to O of n square, or you can say 100n. You know how these equations we are going to get by checking each instruction in the algorithm. So the equation you got is 100n plus 5. We can say this belongs to big O of n square as well. We can also say the third equation, this is our first equation, this is our second equation, this is our third equation. The third equation is half n into n minus 1 is the equation. With this n minus 1, this also we can say belongs to O of n square. Now, the g of n, which we are talking about, or the function which we are comparing with, is equal to n square. The function is n square. So g of n is n square. Right? So the first two functions, the function 1 and 2, which is shown here, that is this function and this function, you all agree that this is a linear function. This last one, the third one, is quadratic function. Obviously, first two functions, that is 1 and 2, have function 1 and 2 have smaller, as you can see, it is smaller order of growth than g of n, which is n square. You all agree that the order of growth of n, orders of growth of n, or 100n plus 5 have smaller order of growth compared to n square. There's a smaller order of growth than the function gn, which happens to be n square here, which happens to be n square for us. The third function, which is quadratic, the third function, which is a quadratic function, which is this function which we are talking about, is same order of growth, is same order of growth as g of n, which is equal to n square. So this is why we require this g of n and t of n. We require g of n and t of n. We require g of n to compare and rank the orders of growth. To compare and rank, if we get functions like log n, n square, n cube, right? Then 2 to the power of n. If I ask you to rank this in the ascending order of time they take, then I should be able to say log n takes lesser than time of the input of order n compared to n, right? The function n takes lesser time compared to n log n, then n square, then n cube, then 2 to the power of n. So you need to rank all these basic efficiency functions. So this is where we require, these set of functions, which is gn and tn. Right? So we also say when we talk, we also say n cube does not belongs to O of n square, or 0.0001 of n cube does not belong to order of n square. And we also say n to the power of 4 plus n plus 1, which is a 4-degree polynomial, does not belongs to order of n square. Because the n cube is called cubic function. Cubic function these cubic functions have higher order of growth than the n square. So that's why we cannot say n cube belongs to O of n square. So when we talk about O of n square, the Tn should be having smaller or same order of growth. Such function only could be said as it belongs to O of n square, smaller or same order of growth. So you are sorting upper bounding Tn, right? You are putting some upper bound to Tn, right? By some function Gn. So Tn is our n cube. So you are saying n cube that belongs to O of n square is wrong. So n cube does not belong to O of n square, because we are in Gn, we are sort of providing the upper bound, right? This is big O notation for us. A formal definition we will see it later. So that's the second function which we are talking is omega of Gn. What is omega of Gn? Informally, we can say it is a set of all functions with larger or same order of growth as Gn. So you can see it is larger or same order of growth. That means to say the asymptotic notation omega gives you sort of lower bound. So we get the example, we'll see an example and see. So we say n cube belongs to omega of n square. Half n into n minus 1 belongs to omega of n square. Is this statement correct or not? Hello? Is this statement correct? Oh, you're speaking. Okay. Not a problem. Sure. Did you get it? The omega notation? Okay. Abhishek says yes. Angelina says yes. Okay, good. Can we go ahead with the omega? Okay, I'll let you know it is correct or not. I could not hear you, but still, I think you are all there, checking this. So omega of Gn is set of all functions with larger or same order of growth as G of n. So the function Tn, n cube or half n into n minus 1, you can see it has larger or same. So for example, this is cubic. You can see the order of growth of the cubic function is always larger than quadratic function, right? So the orders of growth of, in the first example, orders of growth of cubic function for the large value of n is always larger than quadratic. The second one is same orders of growth of g of n, because this is also n square. The t of n which we are talking about is also n square. The function g of n which we are seeing here n square. So they are all same order of these two functions in the second example are same order of growth as g of n. So just we are doing the informal definition, trying to understand what is gn, what is tn, and these are all the set of functions. G of n is a set of all functions which we use to rank or to compare the orders of growth with, right? So the third notation which we are going to use is our theta notation, theta of g of n. What does it mean? Theta g of n is set of all functions that have same order of growth as g of n. It's not, the order of growth is not larger or smaller, it's the same order growth of growth. So every quadratic function like an square plus bn plus c, where a greater than 0 is in theta of n square, right? So the function grows as same order of growth as the g of n. So this is t of n, this is g of n. It has same order of growth. All quadratic function of this sort belongs to this class. That is, we can say this is theta of n square. So this gives you fair idea about the notations which we are going to use to rank or compare the orders of growth of an algorithm. So we will see the formal definitions later. So we know that we find time complexity of an algorithm. This is the repetition by its order of growth of basic operation count. So how do we compare the orders of growth using asymptotic notations is the next topic of discussion. Let me take an example. If you could say that is the t of n, just a general example, t of n is greater than equal to c1 n square is lesser than equal to c2 n square. Right, let us consider two algorithms. So let us consider two algorithms with a complexity of the first algorithm has complexity which is c1 n square plus c2 of n. Now second has a complexity c3 of n. So which is the faster algorithm? This is one This is 2. Among these two, this is the complexity, time complexity of the two algorithms solving the same problem. One takes C1 n square plus C2 of n, other takes C3 of n. We know that one with C3n will be faster than the one with C1 n square plus C2n for sufficiently large value of n. Right? You all agree that C3 of n runs faster to the input of size n is faster than the algorithm with the complexity C1 n square plus C2 of n. For smaller, for example, for smaller inputs, that is smaller value of n, either algorithm may be faster. Algorithm may be faster. Let us see for smaller inputs which one is faster. Right? So did you get the point here? We have algorithm 1 with C1 n square plus C2 of n and algorithm 2 with C3 of n. According to us, this runs fastest for the input of size n. Let us check which one runs faster with assuming some constants. Now, if I assume C1 constant is equal to 1, C2 constant is 2, and C3 is equal to 100. Now, let us give a smaller inputs, like you start giving n is equal to 1, then n is equal to 2, then n is equal to 30, then n is equal to 90, then n is equal to 98. Let us solve this problem. All of you can take a pen and paper and start solving the equation. The equation which we are comparing is C1 n square plus C2 of n with one more function C3 of n. Let us take n is equal to 1, or you can say 2. So C1 is 1 into 2 square 4 plus C2 is 2, 4. C3 is 100. The constant which we are considering C3 by counting most of the operations there, right, in the algorithm which is given. You know how you get C3 or C1, C2, right? It's some constant time which is required to run the operations in the instructions in the algorithm. So when I say 100 into 2, the n is 2, the input which we are giving is 2 for this algorithm. This will be 8, this will be 200. It shows that the algorithm C1 n square takes lesser time than C3 of n for input of size 2. Let us take input of size 30. For 30, this is 900 plus C2 is 2. 2 into n is 30, which is 960. So this will be 100 into 30, which is 3000. It says 960 is lower order of growth than the 3000. It says that the function n square, the time complexity function n square takes lesser than C3 of n. Right? This is for n is equal to 30. Let us take n is equal to 90. Let us take n is equal to 90. The equations are C1n square plus C2n and the other one is C3n. Wherein C1 is equal to 1, C2 is equal to 2, C3 is equal to 100. So n is equal to 30. Sorry, 90. So if you just calculate this, you should get 8280 is lesser than 9000. Yes, correct? Is this correct? Are you able to follow? The third one, substitute 90 square into 1, right? So how much you are going to get? 90 square. Just calculate. All of you can go ahead and calculate, right? So and check what is the answer for this. It is around 8100 plus 180. Isn't it? 8280. C3 is 100. The number of count which you have got is 100. C3 is 100. 100 into 90, which is equal to 9000. Next, check for n is equal to 98. So you are going to do 98 square, which is 9604, right? Plus 196, you will get around 9800. And for the second function C3n also you will get 9800. Yes or no? So if you take n is equal to 100, right? So if you take n is equal to 100, then also the time taken by this function is larger than this with function n. Okay. So we can also take, we are independently, we can go ahead and take constant. I can say constant is equal to C1 is equal to 1, C2 is equal to 2, C3 is equal to 1000. So then C1n square, if you go and just work out, C2n, C1n square C2n will be lesser than equal to C3 of n in terms of running time. For n lesser than equal to 998. So the value of n with this constant is 998. The value of the constant which we are considered 1 200 is 98. So for n, okay, so for till n becomes 98, the time taken by this equation to run an algorithm is lesser than this equation, which is not actually. This algorithm with this equation should run faster, right? So if this is taking lesser time for n is equal to 90 and this is taking larger time, that does not indicate the correctness of this function, isn't it? It does not indicate that. So this should be faster. So there is some, break point. So what is that we are concluding here with this example? We are concluding this, right? No matter what's the value of, so no matter what's the value of C1, C2 and C3, there will be n, there will be some n beyond which beyond which the algorithm with the C3 of n will be faster than the one with the complexity C1 n square plus C2 of n. You all agree? I have shown you the example, right? So when we took n is equal to 1, C1 is equal to 1, C2 is equal to 2, and C3 is equal to 100. For all the inputs which is greater than equal to 98, right? So 98 and greater than 98, the n, for all n greater than equal to 98, right? The after this input value, C3n will be faster than C1 n square plus C2 of n. So no matter whatever the constant is, if you change the constant with C1 is equal to 1, C2 is equal to 2, and C3 is equal to 1000, C1 is equal to 1, C2 is equal to 2, and C3 is equal to 1000, then this becomes 998. After the n value 998, this will be faster. Till then, it shows that this equation is faster than the other one. Right? So there is some break-even point for some value of n. Okay. So that till that break-even point, I'm going to show you that our asymptotic notation does not hold good for minimum value of n naught. So given an equation, we are going to assume these constants and we are going to do the formal definition. I hope this is clear. If it is, this will be more clear when I give you the formal definition as well, right? So let us check these things, right? So there are three notations used to compare our orders of growth of an algorithm basic operation count. These three notations which we are comparing is big O of Gn. As we all know now, these are all the class of functions Fn, Tn and Fn. I can interchangeably use it in my lecture. So you should say Tn and Fn is same for us as of now. So O of Gn, big O of Gn is class of functions Fn that grow no faster than Gn. Set of all functions which functions Fn that grow no faster than g of n. Omega of g of n are class of functions Fn that grows at least as fast as g of n. At least as fast as g of n. Theta of Gn is class of functions Fn that grow at same rate as Gn. That grow as same rate as Gn. So we have discussed this. O of Gn is set of all functions with smaller or same order of growth as Gn to within a constant multiple as n goes to infinity. That constant multiple is the one which we are going to, I'm going to show you how this constant multiple comes there. So we have just discussed this. Then omega also we have discussed this, right? Then these three notations which we have seen, and we are going to come up with a formal definitions for all the three notations. Okay, so the next discussion is formal notations for all of these asymptotic notations, which we will discuss. So as we have seen, one more point I wanted to discuss before going to the formal definition is this. So when we say T of n belongs to O of G of n, so what does it states? It states only that G of n, it states only that G of n is an upper bound, on the value of T of n. For all n greater than equal to n naught. We have seen why it is n which is greater than equal to n naught. Because you should get that with the constant values, different constant values, you should get such n naught for which G of n is an upper bound on the value of Tn for all n greater than equal to n naught. So for the statement which we are making here, for the statement T of n belongs to O of G of n, to be informative, G of n should be as small as function, should be as small a function of n as one can come up with. So the T of n, the total running time for an algorithm, which we will say it as T of n, and we say T of n belongs to O of G of n. For this statement to be informative, G of n should be as small a function of n as one can come up with. Right? So finally, what we can conclude here is, so we often say that we say 3n plus 3 belongs to O of n. We almost never say that 3 of n plus 3 belongs to O of n square, even though this later statement is correct. So these are all the important points you should know. So when we say 3 of n plus 3 belongs to the class of function which is big O of n, we almost never say 3n plus 3 belongs to O of n square. You can go ahead and say that 3 of n belongs. This statement is correct as per our informal definition, right? So the statement is correct. Even though this later statement is correct, we often say this. So you need to find out a function as small as possible. Though this is correct, you should find such a function to compare Tn with, right? So we will not say this even though this is correct. That is what is the assumption we are making here, or we are seeing here. And we go ahead with the formal definitions in the next class. So that's for today, and tomorrow we will see the formal definition, right? So in the formal definitions, when we talk about n naught and constants, you'll understand why I'm talking about those things. I've made it clear in this class, regarding all those things. Okay. So the next class this is not omega. So Jacob has said, Angeline Jacob has said, big O right, not omega. Yeah, it's not omega. Say part of those equations, then okay. So that's the kind of equations you will have. So we'll discuss once I give you the formal definitions, you will be, knowing what all things we are talking about. We will put together all these pieces which we have discussed today in the next class. So it will be more clear, and we will also solve some problems in the next class. With the problems, it will be more clear for you what we are talking about. Yeah. So this class is a continuation for the next class. It becomes very important for you to understand. So go through those examples which I have given. In case if you have any doubts, you can clarify those doubts, and we can take it ahead from there in the tomorrow's class. Thank you. Thank you for attending. We will meet tomorrow.